Greetings, Legionnaires! Today I bring you my tactical report on God of War. Continuation of the pale demigod Kratos' bloody tale. Is this legendary character's new take worth looking at firsthand? Well, I'll tell you all that and more with a brief spoiler-free plot synopsis, the highlights, and the shortcomings. It has been a long time since Kratos ran himself through with the Blade of Olympus and has left Greece entirely. Hoping to lead a simple life, he found love in the north and eventually fathered a son, Atreus. This peaceful life was relatively short-lived, as his wife Faye passed away, leaving Kratos to mentor his son. Their new quest? To spread Faye's ashes on the tallest peak in all the 9 realms. However, this task will prove difficult, as both Atreus and Kratos find themselves mysteriously the target of the Norse gods. Let's begin as always with the redeeming qualities of our adversary. Firstly, the game is a technical masterpiece. The visuals are stunning, the audio design is superb, and the music is wonderful. All these elements combine to immerse you in a truly realized world. The various realms you visit all feel distinct, and your companions do a great job of tutoring you in the ways of Norse mythos. This might be the best way to learn about this particular pantheon of gods. While the handful of supreme beings you do meet on your adventure are interesting, it is the secondary characters that steal the show. Brock and Sindri, your blacksmiths, each bring levity in their own particular ways. The severed head of Mimir, on the other hand, serves as both your guide and a valuable fountain of knowledge. He will even literally watch your back and call out when an enemy attempts to attack you from behind. I would be remiss not to mention the relationship Kratos has with Atreus. While he begins your journey as a naive child, Atreus most certainly comes into his own by tale's end. Although this father-son dynamic is not the warmest, shall we say, it does a fine job of showing how these two individuals come to respect one another on and more so off the battlefield. Kratos only benefits and typically relies on Atreus' linguistic skills, combat abilities, and magical bow. While having prior knowledge of the God of War franchise is incredibly beneficial, it is not necessary. The story on display is that of the Norse gods, and the realms they reside over. This is especially good for newcomers to the series, as they briefly summarize previous events that Kratos had a hand in. Although the world and narrative being spun are shining highlights, it is the action that really captivates. Leviathan axe swings are visceral and satisfying, while a combination of shield slams and bare-knuckle hits resonate as enemies become stunned awaiting a brutal execution. Even the return of the Blades of Chaos feels familiar, but fresh at the same time. They're a whirling dervish of slicing flames, always eager to claim another victim. Mixing between all your armaments becomes vital, as your opponents rarely give you much room to breathe. The ability to recall your axe also makes for some extremely satisfying moments, as you're able to attack an enemy from behind at great distances. Your weapons combined with their own special moves and Atreus' bow affords many different engaging playstyles. Depending if you would rather fight from a distance or single out certain enemies with a specific special attack, your armor will help bolster those choices. Certain runes will enhance your abilities even further, making this the most technically complex battle system found in the franchise. Gone are the quick-time events that the series prided itself on for many years, allowing you to sit back and revel in the glorious demise of your recently defeated opponent. Your tools of death are not just for fighting though. They are essential in completing any number of brief puzzles you find throughout the game. These breaks in the action are just long enough to provide a calmness amongst the bedlam. No foe is without weakness, and God of War has some very minor flaws. Kratos has most certainly come a long way from his vengeance days. However, he is relatively reserved and often contradictory in the lessons he teaches Atreus. Not that he needs to share his every feeling, but he remains very curt in his statements. Not to mention that he tends to order Atreus around like a servant, which can be irritating, seeing all that they've been through. While I just lauded the brash brutality of battle, it does suffer from a tight camera perspective, meaning that enemies will frequently hit you from off-screen. A display indicator and typically Mimir or Atreus will alert you to it, but it does lead to frustration when your back isn't up against a wall. Finally, despite one strange technical issue where the scene wouldn't progress, the ending feels rather flat. The game does much to tease you about the potential future of the franchise, but fails to deliver a heart-pounding showstopper right before the credits. This choice was probably a conscious one, as the game seems to be a much more somber take on the Ghost of Sparta. While it leaves you wanting more, it does so without making it feel like the title can stand on its own. There is a true ending, but again it teases what is to come, rather than what is currently playable. Overall, God of War is a huge leap forward for the series. This is a completely realized environment with fascinating friends and foes alike. The skirmishes are pulse-pounding and gorgeous affairs that rarely overstay their welcome. The realms are each beautifully stunning in both sight and sound, and the brief moments of pure unadulterated spectacle will have your jaw on the floor. Even though Kratos has a long way to go, the fighting could use some incredibly slight refinement, and the ever-present feeling of what is to come can overshadow the overarching plot. God of War is a shining example of how to breathe new life into a beloved saga. Well, Legionnaires, agree with my review? Let me know in the comments below. Also, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel so you can see our next review, or hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything either. If you want to support the channel, check out patreon.com/criticalreviews to help support the channel and get some better gear in the process. Thank you so much for stopping by, and just remember to adapt and overcome.